Right, welcome back. Let's try this a second time. Dave, I can't decide what's more shambolic, our first attempt at that post-game show or Joe Vandenberg's supposed back pass for Fulham's equaliser. It's a tough one. It's a tough one for us to pick tonight.
No, it's not. I can hear you now, so that's a
Well, there we
bonus. Joe Vandenberg's pass is not a bonus at all. I was walking home while you were sorting out all the technical issues, and I was just thinking about the sheer number of games that I've been to. I cannot think of another game where I have been so frustrated watching from the very moment that they went down to 10 men after 30 odd. How many seconds was it? 32, 33 seconds.
I think the official stats people had about 38 seconds.
Right. Well, I looked at the clock and it was 35, and that was about 2 or 3 seconds after the incident. So, regardless, it's still less than a minute, and that's 89 minutes minimum plus injury time. 4 minutes in the first half, 5 minutes in the second half, 9 minutes of time to win the game. And quite frankly, I've tweeted this. It wasn't good enough. It simply wasn't good enough. It was far too ponderous. It was far too slow. Far too one-paced. Far too. I want to use the word patient. I'm all for being patient, but provided, there's an element of less speed, more haste, kind of. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And
there wasn't anything.
There wasn't anything. Exactly that. And it was too patient. It was too safe. One of the biggest problems, one of the biggest issues that I've had with Jaap Stam's style of play, yes, up until now, it's worked certainly last season, winning 26 games, but it is too. It doesn't stretch the opposition enough. Even though we're trying to do that, it is far too safe. And one of the biggest issues that we've got is that we'll go pass to the nearest player, and the Jaap Stam's issues were highlighted big time today because it was exactly that, when we needed to start missing players out to play into a player in space and play with tempo, play with urgency, and we didn't do that at all. And Fulham fans were to a degree right in chanting boring boy and running. It wasn't through design, it was simply through lack of ability and lack of urgency. It was immensely frustrating, easily by a long way the most frustrating game I've been to.
Yeah, I can't do anything but agree with that. You could understand the patience. You could understand the whole idea of, okay, Fulham are down to 10 men. It's a hot day early in the season. Let's stretch them. Let's make them move, and then we'll wear them down and get that opening. And do you know what? As much as I'm annoyed and as pissed off as most Reading fans are tonight, the plan actually worked. Reading were cruising to a 1-0 win, and it's only through just an absolutely horrible moment of just ineptitude all round. I mean, the pass, I think it's Tyler Blackett pays it across, under no pressure at all, pings the ball across to Joe Vandenberg. Joe Vandenberg, it's not a great pass, it's not a great height for him, but he just tries to casually play it back to, I think it's Gunter, who's the covering man, a good 15 yards behind him. Just underhits it, Pearson nips in. Gunter as well needs to take a look at himself, because why he absolutely dives in and goes to ground rather than just making Pearson beat him, I don't know. Anyway, he's on the ground, Pearson goes past him, he scores.
You're absolutely right there. I mean, Gunter has to either takes the ball or he takes the man. He can't just go in and half-hearted and manner that he did. And if he's going to be sent off if he takes the man, so be it. We're still 1-0 up.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as I said, if it wasn't for that complete moment of, what they call it, a brain fart from Joey Vandenberg, Reading pick up the 3 points and everybody's happy. But as it is, equaliser, no luck. Let's go back to the start of the game, though, Dave. Thomas Callas, as you said, sent off after 35 seconds. I've had another look at it. I think he's a little bit unlucky to get a straight red for that.
I was of exactly the same opinion at the time. I thought there were was it Barrow who nipped in ahead of him?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, but he's not played any of the ball, and he's taken the man out. I think there is enough of a covering defence there to warrant a yellow, not a straight red, and that was in real time at the time. Having said that, referee's got the red card out, and Fulham have to go into immediate reshuffle.
Yeah, Thomas Callas.
I think
I was going to say Thomas Callas.
Ultimately.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so ultimately, I think Fulham have benefited from that in many ways, because from that point onwards, the referee refereed the match in a totally different manner in what he would have done if there was 11v11.
What do you mean?
Insofar as that Fulham were immediately doing everything they possibly could to delay restarts to play, and slow the game down. I mean, the majority of the game was played in their half, not necessarily their final third, but certainly their half.
Yeah.
And they went down to 10 men, and all they did was sat 10 men, nine, literally 10 men behind the ball on the edge of their area, and said, "Beat us." They were, they wanted a point from that point onwards. There was no question they would have come to win the game. But playing a whole game with 10 men, they knew it was going to be difficult. So they played for the point. They got the point. But they were given a remarkable helping hand. How on earth they didn't get any bookings for time wasting, particularly in that first half, given they didn't get any bookings at all except in the 90th minute. And yet I distinctly recall, I think it was Thiago Ilori got booked about 7 or 8 minutes after the opening goal for time wasting.
Yeah.
And yet David Button should and could have been sent off, booked 3 or 4 times over.
Yeah,
the referee should know that he made a rod for his own back by sending the player off. Yes, it was a debatable decision, but he's made the decision, and he's then got to referee the game in the same manner as he would have done in 11v11. And you possibly give a little bit of leeway because he knows what Fulham are going to do, but to the extent that they did it and the extent that he let it get away with it, that is incredibly frustrating, really frustrating. And I know that we have been doing that as well and we would have probably done exactly the same thing. But it doesn't make it any less frustrating for us.
Not at all. And especially when you consider one of the last times we played Fulham, we had one of our players booked whilst taking our own corner. So it goes to show some of the inconsistencies that just drive you nuts as a Championship fan when games just get refereed in different manners. But, whatever the case, Reading were against 10 men. And like you say, Jaap Stam's come out after the game and said, sometimes it is harder playing against 10 men. Because they, as you say, they just sat back, they waited for Reading, and they did actually, if you're actually being completely honest, Fulham had almost as many good chances to score as Reading did in that game. Frederiksen, especially Sessegnon, were really good outlets.
Not only as much as we did.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Reading do eventually wear them down and get that goal. A lovely finish again from Liam Kelly, the only person who's scored our goals this season. He's on for 20 this season, so that's fine. Great finish. And from that point, you think it's, just a case of seeing things out. In the build-up to that goal, Joey Vandenberg comes on for George Evans. We talk about not being able to break down those 10 men. I'm starting to worry a little bit about George Evans. I know it's not his role to be creative, but I struggle to actually think at this point what is George Evans' quality? And I don't mean that as in he's a talentless footballer. I mean, what does George Evans bring to the team, Dave? What is his strength? Because I sit here and I struggle to think.
George Evans' quality is sitting there in front of the back four, and he's a I want to call him a Claude. No, I hesitate to use Claude Makelele, but we all know what the Claude Makelele role is. It's just pick up the ball and lay it off simple. And I see that as George Evans. And he's also there. He can pick up the ball and he can set. He could basically do what James Harper did for the best part of 10 years for us. That's what I see George Evans as. He'll never be a creative midfielder. He'll never be anything. Certainly anything special. But with the ball at his feet and in this style of play, I think he's actually he's actually okay. Having said that, you mentioned Joey Vandenberg coming on, and at the time I thought, what difference does this make other than fresh legs? There's not a change in system. There's not a change in approach. The only thing that I could think of is that Joey Vandenberg is a bit more dynamic in terms of doing what Danny Williams used to do and snap at opposition ankles. But that, trying to win the ball. But to be fair, there was a point in time where Fulham were getting more of the ball. But I didn't really see what difference in approach. We weren't troubled by Fulham, and in fact, Fulham really troubled us more when Vandenberg was on the pitch than when Evans was, and that was what kind of what grated to a degree. Because if you're going to make a substitution in that situation when you should be winning the game, you got to do it to make a difference. And that was just a substitution for substitution's sake, it seemed.
Yeah, it's not that I don't think I know that role that Evans is in the team to do, but it's just when you need something extra from him, he just doesn't. Or so far in his career at Reading, just doesn't seem to be able to step up, and you start to wonder if someone like a Stephen Quinn with a bit more drive is going to be the answer, because he can do that simple stuff as well. Height.
I would have preferred to have seen him come on.
Yeah.
In all honesty, he's got more ball playing ability. He's more dynamic. He's over the pitch. He's got what Coppell used to love about the Irish players was their work ethic, was their sheer drive to get a result, by replacing sort of necessarily what ability with sheer hard work. And I just think we needed that. If you're going to make a substitution, make a difference in personnel. Jerry Vandenberg and George Evans are both very similar players, and there's no point in making that substitution when you're 0-0 against 10 men for an hour. And let's not forget, we also had 5 defenders on that pitch for an hour, if not more than an hour, against 10 men. And I've said a couple of times tonight to a couple of people that I felt that we should have at least changed the formation the moment Fulham responded to that red card by bringing on their substitute after 4 minutes. Maintaining 5 defenders on that pitch when they showed absolutely no attacking intent. Sorry, we're talking about a man who's in charge of us, who has played under arguably the best attacking manager the world has ever seen in Sir Alex Ferguson, and to not learn off that in that given situation, given that we clearly had the upper hand, it's a limitation.
Yeah, we've got some comments in the Facebook feed. Thanks for those of you joining us. Tony Dempster says, not a forward parcel game, doesn't look the same without McCleary in the team. He also just goes on to say how frustrating was Gunter. And Tony agrees with you, we didn't need 3 centre-backs after the sending off. And Ayala Otzmel, I've butchered your name horribly, says, so frustrating. So thanks for those of you joining in the comments section. Try and get to a few of you as the show progresses. Michael Clark, who says, need a striker as well. I think that's something we can agree on, Dave. Joseph Mendes, he did have the layoff for the goal. Worked very hard, certainly, but you could see his limitations today. To me, he's a 4th choice striker. He's part of your battery of 4 that you bring on in certain scenarios, but he's not going to lead the line in a team that.
I think there's absolutely there's room for improvement for him. Having said that, as a striker playing against 9 outfield players who are just sat there on the edge of your box from literally the first minute, it's not going to be your day, unless it drops to you in the edge of the area or in the 6-yard box in a very comfortable fashion. You're not going to have an easy time of it. So I don't think we can really judge Joseph Mendes on today. Having said that, yes, when the ball was played into his feet or played up to him in any manner, he was limited. I'd also say that he looked unfit.
Yes.
He was on his heels a lot of the time, and he ultimately he did struggle in that in that scenario.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I thought his kind of strike partner for the day, Modou Barrow, making his full Reading debut, I thought he looked lively. I thought he's something a bit different that we haven't had in the squad, and that's what you want out of a new signing. He looked like he was going to cause trouble for the Fulham defence. Final touch let him down a few times, but overall, I think there is something there. I think this is a rough diamond type of signing that Stan might be able to get a bit more out of.
Yeah, absolutely. I entirely agree. It just needs to get fit and needs to improve his all-round game. I mean, I can't see that he's any better at the moment than Shane Long was in, say, 2007-8, 2008-9. But give him a run of game. The only way he's going to improve is to play games.
Yeah.
And he'll have learnt a lot from today.
Absolutely. And when you do get those other options back, you get the McCleary, you get Behrens back. Two players that Stam said after the game, they are back in full training as well, so that's good news. You get those type of players back, you get the Quins back. The squad suddenly seems to look a lot stronger, but I do still think they need that striker. I said to you, we were chatting after the game, and I said Reading need that striker who wants the ball all the time. That striker that's like, give the ball to me. I will do something with it. I'll take on that man. I'll drag him out wide. I'll do something with it. And there's just something about this entire attacking unit at the moment, Dave. And a comment I'm seeing pop up on Twitter a lot is, and what I was sat there next to Wim Senior talking about is, why aren't they shooting? There seems to be a lack of confidence in Reading in that final third, where they are just like, I'm going to do the safe thing. I'm going to play the extra pass. I'm going to keep the ball, because if I at least do that, it's not my fault if things go wrong. It's somebody else's. There just seems to be that lack of conviction.
Throw the dummy to get that extra yard, and suddenly you find that Tyler Blackett had an opportunity in the first half. John Swift had an opportunity in the second half. You just think, just bloody shoot. Just effing shoot.
Absolutely.
Get your laces behind it. John keeper no chance.
I was going to say, and John Swift summed that up for me today. Now, he did have a couple of cracks go. He should have scored when Reading were 1-0 up as well. But his confidence, there's something missing with Swift at the moment, because he gets into the right positions, he makes the right sort of movements, and his just decision-making just seems off. He seems to be second-guessing himself. He doesn't seem to have that confidence, that swagger when he first arrived at the football club. Whether that's tiredness, whether that's just being out of form, generally I don't know, but is there something you can put your finger on for Swift to say that's what he needs to do to get back to his best?
I think it's a combination of both lack of confidence and you could argue there's a lack of application, because some of the mistakes that he's making are so basic. I mean, you look in that playoff final, but just before he went off, he played two passes that were basic passes into the path of a Reading player. And it didn't, just played it out of play, and it's horrific, really. The guy's got so much talent, and he's there to win games for us. He's just signed, what is it? Is it a 4-year contract? He's just signed a 5-year contract. One of the two, anyway, between him and Moore.
Yeah, 5 for him and 4 for Moore.
So the guy's there to be shot at. He's there to be playing. Certainly a forward line. Position, certainly attacking midfield, but it's just not coming off for him at the moment. And it's one of those things that a manager will turn around and say he needs to work harder on the training ground. He needs to to play himself back into form. There's only one way he's going to do that, and that's to be on the pitch and work harder on the training ground. But exactly what he does. I mean, Stam sees what he does on the training ground, so he's the guy that's ultimately got to make the decision. But you're absolutely right. There is something lacking from Swift at the moment, and he's got the ability, but it's it's almost as though he's just holding back.
Yeah,
it's doesn't seem right with him.
Yeah, I mean, on the bright side, I thought Liam Kelly had a very good game today. I think he's had a good start to the season. I kind of don't want him to have too good a start to the season, just until that window shuts, though, because there's always that worry that he might get swooped away from us. But we've got to wrap it up. We're running out of time. Of course, we'll have a full podcast on Monday evening for plenty more thoughts on this game. But get to a couple more comments from yourselves in the Facebook live feed. Adam Jones said, I feel we need an attacking midfielder still in this window. We lacked a player to unlock the defence today. That's where Baker would have been useful. Swift seems a bit off form, which is probably one of the reasons why we lacked creativity. And Tony chips back in with, hopefully we can do something for Oliveira. Well, it looks like we're signing Mr. Bakuna. He was pictured at the game today. Stam asked after the game, says, yeah, we're interested in him. I don't know where it is, but I don't think you pitch up at a team's game if you're not very close to signing. So that'll be certainly a good utility man, Dave.
I think so. Certainly someone to pick up that Danny Williams role that we seem to be lacking at the moment, and hopefully he can apply himself in a similar manner. As I mentioned earlier, pick up and snap up opposition heels.
Yeah,
and just be that nuisance that we missed today. Not necessarily saying that we didn't necessarily need it, certainly from after 30 seconds, But certainly we did we needed that someone who could actually drive the team on, and we lacked it today.
Yeah, and look, let's try and end on a positive note. Most people, I tweeted out before the game, in our prediction league, nobody predicted Reading was going to win this game. I actually got it spot on with a 1-1 draw, so I've pipped you to the top now, Dave. Now that gloating's aside, nobody expected this to be anything. Most people thought we were going to get a beating. We got a point. We're off the mark. We've kept that good home record going. It's just and Villa, who we play on Tuesday night, got an absolute beating at Cardiff. So hopefully we'll learn some lessons. We'll get a couple of players back. Maybe Bacuna is a new signing. Or that it wouldn't surprise me if they dragged it out till after Tuesday. But hopefully this is a starting point. Yes, we're pissed off. Yes, we're frustrated. Yes, we should have won that game. But look, we've got a point. We're off the mark. And it's something to build on.
It's something to build on. It absolutely is. But in terms of the performance, psychologically, it feels like a defeat.
Okay. So I'll ask this then as the final question.
That's a positive note.
Yeah. Are you more or less worried after today's game than you were going into it?
I'd sit on the fence on that one, simply because had Fulham had 11 men on the pitch, I think we would have been rolled.
Right.
It was only the dynamics of the game that dictated how they played. There's no question that they wouldn't have sat. They certainly wouldn't have sat back the way they did. We set up for an attacking performance from Fulham. We had five defenders on the pitch, as we mentioned earlier, for an hour. So I think, provided we don't get a similar a similar dynamic to the game on Tuesday night, I think we'll have more of an indication where we are.
Okay.
Against Villa.
Okay.
So I think if you are to ask me at about 10 o'clock on 10:30 on Tuesday evening, I think you'll have more of a definitive answer. I don't think we can take too much from today, but simply based on the fact that Fulham sat back 10 men behind the ball.
Yeah, and Tony's got it right.
For 90.
I'll finish with Tony. He says, let's judge it when the window shuts and we hopefully have 2 or 3 new players. I think I'm there with you, Tony. I think until that window shuts and we see where the squad is, we see how the injuries clear up, that's when I'm really going to judge this side. Until then, it's a game-by-game basis and hopefully it's more positive than negative. But Dave, thanks very much for taking the time to join me. I'll be back, I think, with Mark and Johnny on Monday for the podcast. So get your thoughts into the usual places at the Tilehurst End on Twitter, the tilehurstend@gmail.com and facebook.com, as you're watching this.com. /the Tilehurst End, and YouTube as well if you're watching the replay on YouTube, youtube.com/the Tilehurst End. Dave, have a good one. We'll speak to you soon. And in the meantime, for everyone watching this, thanks for those of you who join us in the comments section. Donate to the cause, join the cause, patreon.com/the Tilehurst End. That's our electronic tip jar. If you like things like this and like us doing all sorts, that will help us out there. I apologise for the earlier technical flubs and the fact that Dave's had this internet connection problem bubble floating above his head. Again, I can't seem to get rid of it. So if you're great with Skype and you know how I can get rid of that, let me know as well. Anyway, in the meantime, Dave, take it easy. Have a great weekend. Thanks for those of you watching out there. Hope you all have good weekends as well. And take care. Ta-da.